Hey everybody, welcome back to Champ and Sons and our Planet Coaster 2 Let's Play series as we are getting ready to expand on the main street. So welcome back to the channel if you are returning, and welcome if you are new here to Champ and Sons and our Planet Coaster content. So like I said, these are going to be the entrance buildings, right? So we're working on this portion of I'm calling it a main street. It's really just the entrance plaza. We're kind of getting everything set up to really just primarily fill in the open space. That's kind of what, I mean, that's all buildings are really put in for the most part, outside of restaurants and all that. I get they serve a purpose. All I'm saying is that primarily, at least in Planet Coaster, a lot of times, and in a lot of parks that just have facades up, all that they are is just used to fill space. And we're doing it to kind of build out our entrance plaza, to kind of give it, I want to say, give it some depth to the plaza, so you're not just walking in. As much as I want it to be wide open and you get kind of this open feeling when you walk in, I also understand that it probably at the same time needs to have these to kind of break up that openness, to fill in some of that void. And so, that's kind of what we look at doing with each of these buildings. Now, for the most part, I do try to put something in them each time to at least, make it, I guess, to make it more serviceable for the peeps in the game. Personally, I prefer it in the game where you see them kind of interacting with the buildings and stuff. I don't ever really do interiors because, my God, I'm just not one that good at the game and that detail oriented. But it takes a long time, and even doing these recordings takes quite a while. So sometimes with a game that takes long enough to play, like Planet Coaster is anyways, I say, why make it take more time? I'm not going to do that much of an interior. I'm not going to really do an interior at all. But I do promise you, I will make these buildings serviceable, for goodness sakes. And you'll see me go through as we design these things, making them to a point where, we do have a lot of do-overs. Like right now, we have one general layout, but for the most part, we've kind of changed that up just a little bit. Added in the central portion to it, so it kind of separates a lot of the stuff out. Changing up the roof pattern on them. It's making changes to buildings. One is going to always happen. It just does. But two, I think it's good to always kind of go back and look at these things as we put them together. And some of the designs that we do go for them, whether it's also color scheme that we have to look at, because you'll see the color of buildings change during my builds multiple times. And in reality, I'll probably end up changing them even after we get this section done. So after this episode, I promise you, those buildings are probably going to change color at some point. It's just the way it works. And so making changes to buildings really does help out a lot, and it's something I think you should never be afraid to do if you're playing this game. Even the best at it have to make changes. It's just the way it goes. And so you're going to see a lot of that stuff kind of happen throughout these builds. I've never once considered myself to be a master builder, but I like to think I can do decent in this game. I've gotten a lot better, and while I'll say this, one thing I've kind of figured out, and I heard this a while back on a Planet Coaster 1 video, is really just adding layers and depth to it. Really does help out a lot with just overall building appearance. And ironically enough, I don't know if it really makes them look better, but I will say this, when it's come to me doing this, it makes me feel better about the building that I just made. I will admit, it definitely does. So, I've got that going for me, right? Got that kind of attitude to making changes to it and adding in depth on it. Sometimes you'll see what we'll do with a lot of these, some of the signs that they have here for shops. I know they're very similar to what that wasn't Planet Coaster 1. And when I say similar, I mean like the way, the size scheme, the way they fit in. Um, Compared to Planet Coaster 1, this is a lot better. So you'll see me use those signs quite a bit. It does good, adds some light. Once again, adds depth to it. Now here we are making our own sign for this little entrance plaza. And part of me wants to just say restaurant, but I'm not going to. It's just like a food court thing. But we're making our own sign for it right now. Getting in, putting in some basic little things, just to kind of dress it up a little bit. It's not going to be too fancy at all. So just doing a little bit of dress and act. Now here we are with these text signs. I really do like them, and the way they fit into these spaces. And the things you can actually do with them, resizing and all that fun jazz. It really adds a little element to these signs that I think makes them fun to actually design and fun to put together. Before, I don't have the best of artistic capability, but with these signs, it gives me a little bit of stuff to make me feel better about myself. You know what I mean? When it comes to the stuff that I'm making in here. So that's kind of what we've got going. We are going to continue on some of these entrance plaza buildings. I'll hop off, let y'all enjoy the music, enjoy the build, and I will hop on with y'all here in just a little while. And I am back. As you see, we've got a lot of these buildings put in. Now, one thing I've wanted to do, or at least I want to try to do this series more than I ever did with Planet Coaster 1, and you see me doing it here on these buildings at first, but is start to play around with kind of the color schemes that you can have in the game. You know, start trying stuff that I'm normally fairly basic when it comes to color schemes and all that fun jazz. But I think this go around we're going to try to really play with that some. We're going to make these buildings, I guess, I don't know if entertaining is the proper way to describe them, but make them appealing to look at. So that's going to be kind of a goal that we have moving forward with this series and some of these buildings. I like what has come out so far, like the Sunshine Bistro right there. Like I said, those signs work out really well. The editable ones with the text, all of them, they look incredibly good. So now one thing we are going to have to do as we go throughout this park, which is another kind of time-consuming thing done that's part of Planet Coaster, but is we're going to have to do some foliage. You know, I've been thinking, so when it comes to the theme parks I've gone to, Fiesta Texas or Over Texas, right? You know, Over Texas probably has the most trees all around, just by simple fact, Fiesta Texas, where it was built. So looking at how Over Texas does, it's not like a lush forest by any means, but it's pretty much, there's tree work, there's plants in every little open kind of space. And so some of them I'm going to try to put in less trees on, some I'm going to put in more. It's just going to be kind of see how it feels, see how it goes with the foliage work. Now right here I am doing a custom built fence, taking these beams and these planks and just kind of running it across up and down, so that way we can, you know, it's a decent looking fence. I don't think it's anything spectacular. And no, most people will grab a few in the middle and flip them around the other way just to make it look different. Sorry, not going to do that. It's not something that I'm like, ooh, that's a must do. So, you know. But we're going to continue to board off some of these areas, the queue line. I do want to try to keep in mind fencing and stuff as we go throughout this build. So trust me, a lot of fencing that is going to be done off camera, and you're not going to actually see it. But I will try to do that and truly set boundaries here within our park as much as possible, right? So that's going to be kind of something that we will be focused on as we go through. So we're putting this section out, and then ideally this will help separate out some back areas. It'll help kind of make things, I don't know if I want to say go smoother, but with regards to any of the restaurants and stuff, there's going to be sections throughout that are fenced off that we're not privy to, that, you know, staff can manage to get to. Normally it is the garbage and all that type of crap, but it's still an area that's kind of closed off there. So, you know, just think of it that way. I'm going to try to keep that kind of stuff, those more little details, stuff like that in mind as we go. So I think it'll be interesting to see how this thing builds out. All right. Now, one other problem that I definitely have with my parks, I'm not sure everybody else does, but I know I do, is lighting. You know, Planet Coaster 1, the lights had hardly any lighting space. Have they fixed that in Planet Coaster 2? No, they really haven't, but there are some lights like these that actually seem to put out more than some of the other hanging lights. But I think this stuff has turned out to be really, really good as far as the lighting goes. I like how it's turned out in this game, and so that's what we're going to kind of try to do as we go throughout. And I think just about every park series I've done, I've forgotten about lighting at some point until I'm about almost done with the park, and then I spend time mostly off camera just running around placing lights. I'm not very good at building my own custom lights, so I don't do that. But now we still have some more areas to finish out more buildings to finish out in this area, right? So we're getting a couple of the more minor detail stuff done. We got the lights out already, and then right now I'm building a sign for our return coaster, as it's called. I'm just calling it the slingshot. I mean, I think other names, flashback and stuff like that. But I'm going to call it the slingshot. Going to end up moving the sign. We're going to kind of get everything to make it look just a little bit better, like it actually fits here in the park. And so that's kind of what we're doing. It is supposed to be a newer style sign. Is there any story behind that, you may be asking yourself? And the answer is no. I just like the way that scaffolding stuff looked. So it is what it is. And I love these little letters here and the fact that I can make them all resizable. Oh, that's such a nice feeling being able to do that. It really helps, I think, someone like me with my capabilities in terms of designing buildings, designing signs. Not very artistic. Color eye just doesn't really work all that well, but I think the way we can use these letters, it allows us to actually play with colors and try to figure stuff out a little bit more than what we would have known at the beginning. So I'm really enjoying this game. We are very early in this park right now. All right, so there's going to be a lot more space to build out. We've got about 5 more coasters to go in. Let's see, probably 6 to 10 flat rides additionally to go in. A lot more stuff is going to be happening in this park. Now I'm looking at it from the peep point of view at nighttime, trying to see the lights and all that. So I think it turned out pretty well. So this is the final view of what we get done in this episode. I believe we will have a coaster being built in the next episode, so definitely stay tuned for that. And remember to hit the subscribe button if you haven't hit it already. And if you did like today's video, give us a thumbs up. It does really help out the channel, and I truly appreciate everything y'all have done for us here at Champ & Sons. But I will see y'all in the next episode here at Austin's Wonderland. So as always, stay safe, and well, y'all know how it goes from here, right? Later, y'all.